Hello, this is Mindy from the Weekend Gardener, and today I'm going to show you a unique way of propagating mother-in-law's tongue or snake plant. Now you may wonder where those names come from, this beautiful plant. Mother-in-law's tongue comes from the points that you can find at the end of the leaves, and snake plant comes from the variation in the leaves. Some people think that looks like snake skin. So that's a little bit of history of this plant. The propagation technique that I'm going to teach you is leaf cuttings, and you can divide this plant. If you divide this plant, you're going to get a clone aspect. What this plant looks like when it's divided will look like the other part. But when you take a leaf cutting from this plant, if it is variegated or has this yellow strip on the outer part of the edge, you're going to get a solid green plant, and that's just the nature of the beast when it comes to propagating this type of plant. Now, we're going to begin the process by cutting the leaf. And there's a few unique things when it comes to this plant. Now this is a succulent, and you can tell it's a succulent because it has a waxy leaf coating on both sides. Also, the leaf is very thick. And normally when we take a leaf cutting, I tell you to take a cutting and make sure that it's at an angle, and that way water will run off the cut. In this example, we're just going to do a straight cut, and there's a couple of reasons for this. Because this is a succulent, it doesn't have to be watered very often. You don't have to worry about water pooling on this cut unless the plant is outside. And it doesn't take very long for this plant to heal up, and it will begin to start forming this pointed structure. So again, once it forms that pointed structure, the water will run off. Now another aspect of this plant is when you go do your cuttings, you need to make sure that you put the bottom part in the soil, not the top part. If you put the top part in the soil, this cutting will not root, and that's just one of those unique aspects of this plant. To begin this cutting process, we've cut the leaf, and I'm going to take a 2 to 3 inch cut of this leaf, remembering where the bottom part is. And once I have my cutting, this is the bottom, I'm going to dip it in rooting hormone. If you don't have rooting hormone, don't worry about it. Dip it in honey and push it down into some pre-moistened soil. Then place it on a windowsill that receives sunlight, but make sure it's not direct sunlight because that will cook that cutting. In a couple of weeks, just gently tug on this cutting. If you feel resistance, that means there's roots below and you're ready to transplant your cutting. Now you would continue going up this leaf cutting, making sure that you plant the bottom part and not the top. Dipping it in a rooting hormone and then placing it in soil again. And that's all there is as far as doing the leaf cutting with mother-in-law or snake plant. So until we meet in the garden again, this has been Mindy from the Weekend Gardener.